The film begins at an amusement park where we are introduced to the main character named Luke Glanton. He works as a motorcycle stunt performer, performing in various small towns across the state. After the performance, during another autograph session, a local girl named Romina smiles at our blonde hero. He had dated her when he was here last time. Wasting no time, he approaches her again and offers to drive her home. Romina agrees without hesitation. As a gesture of thanks, she kisses him on the cheek. This affects him, and he offers to spend the evening together, since next time, Luke will only be back in a year. She tells him she has a boyfriend and refuses.
You don't want to talk or anything? You gotta leave town tomorrow after we pack up. I'm not gonna be around for another year.
Sometime later, when Luke returns to this small town for another performance, he decides to visit the girl again. He discovers that he actually has a son named Jason. After this, he immediately goes to Romina at work. He doesn't understand how she could have kept this a secret.
Anything you think I might want to know before I leave here? Forever and I never come back.
She explains that it was meaningless. Luke had been gone for a whole year and didn't even call once during that time. His team leaves in a couple of hours, but he decides to quit to stay in this town and take care of his son. This doesn't please Romina, as Jason already has a father named Coffee, and the whole family lives in his house. The man is also unhappy that Luke decided to stay.
How long you in town?
You don't stick around.
They head to the church for the child's baptism. Luke dreams of being in the place of Romina's new man, but fate decides otherwise. Luke cannot hold back his tears. Overwhelmed with emotion, he mounts his motorcycle and speeds through the forest, where he meets a mechanic named Robin. The man is impressed with Luke's skills and offers him a job in his workshop. Luke doesn't know anyone in this town, and agrees. Robin also allows him to live in one of his trailers.
You must get lonely.
Every day Luke feels lonely. He constantly thinks about Romina and his son, and in the evenings goes to her house to look through the window at his son. One day in the forest, the guys talk about work. Luke says he doesn't have enough money to care for his child. Suddenly, Robin offers him to rob a bank. Luke laughs, but Robin says he did it 4 times, but quit 12 years ago. Luke dismisses the mechanic.
I'm not full of shit. I've done it 4 times myself. I stopped 12 years ago because it was getting too hot. As long as you don't do it too many times, fine.
That evening, Luke goes to his beloved at a cafe and explains that he wants to be near his son since he didn't have a father around. And that's who he has become. However, Romina is not going to live in a trailer with an unemployed man.
Sounds like a nice dream.
After these conversations, Luke thinks long and hard and finally decides to rob the bank. Robin explains that all the times he did it, he went without weapons. But Luke wants to take a gun with him. The plan is simple. They arrive in the morning, approach the eldest woman, leave a threatening note, and take the money. Following instructions, Luke loads the pistol and repaints the motorcycle black. He also dresses completely in black. The day of the robbery arrives. Luke immediately draws the gun and starts shouting at everyone. He acts bolder and more aggressively than his mentor. The terrified bank employees hand over all the cash without argument. Luke mounts the motorcycle and speeds down the highway. Robin waits nearby in a truck. Luke drives in, and police cars pass by. Luke succeeds, but immediately vomits from excitement. He now has money. The guys celebrate. Everything went successfully. In the evening, he waits for Romina at her house. And that same evening, she gives herself to him in the trailer. Finally, Luke gets to spend time with his son. He dreams of always being near him. The stuntman wants to take a joint photo. Romina cries, so he jokingly covers her face with his hand. A few days later, Luke continues robbing banks, and he does it very well. He buys a crib for Jason and begins assembling it while only Romina's mother is home. The girl is angry at Luke because he cannot just show up at Coffee's house. Coffee himself is also outraged. A verbal clash occurs between him and Luke. Suddenly, the blonde grabs a wrench and strikes Coffee in the face. Romina calls Luke a psychopath and demands that he leave. Luke waits for the police with the child in his arms. He is arrested. The judge sets bail at $2,500 and forbids him from approaching Coffey's house. Robin posts bail for his friend, and Luke immediately returns the money and shares his audacious plan to rob 2 banks in one day. The man realizes Luke is losing his mind and refuses to participate. He quits, but Luke decides to do it alone. Before attempting the risky 2-bank heist, Luke gathers all his savings to give to Romina. The girl refuses until the last moment, so he just throws the stack into her car. He still doesn't know that his drunken friend sawed his bike into pieces. Robin hoped this would make Luke abandon his plan, but the stuntman puts a gun in his mouth and demands the return of the $2,500. With that, Luke buys a new motorcycle needed for the robbery and still goes through with it. The heist immediately hits a snag. They can't get the money bag through the glass, and at the critical moment, the bike stalls. The motorcycle finally starts, but the cops are already on Luke's tail. He has little time, and the robber drives through a cemetery, puncturing the rear wheel. Luke even falls when he crashes into a barrier, but continues desperate attempts to escape. At one point, he falls off the motorcycle again and runs into the nearest house. A young police officer, Avery Cross, pursues him. Luke realizes it's over and tells the family to run. He calls Romina and asks her not to tell their son anything about him. Avery orders the criminal to stand with his back to the door and drop the gun, then breaks the door and immediately shoots Luke. The stuntman also manages to wound Avery in the leg. Luke falls out of the window and dies on the spot. Avery also has a 1-year-old son. Once he recovers, prosecutor Bill Kilcullen comes to ask a few questions about the incident, and Avery lies, claiming the officer shot the robber first. The policeman becomes a hero to society. However, Avery is troubled by leaving his child without a father. He even begins seeing a psychologist. After all this, he finds it hard even to look at his own son. Later, a whole crowd of police comes to his home for dinner. Colleagues eat their fill and insist Avery joins them on a case. They are generally unpleasant, especially a man named Peter. Police arrive at Romina's home. They allegedly came to conduct a search to find money that Luke might have given to his ex-girlfriend. DeLuca threatened that her mother would be deported if they didn't let them go immediately. Romina recognized Luke's killer. Avery is flustered. He goes up to Jason's room, which his friend Scott is just searching. The cop asks him to hold the child while he searches the crib. The money was indeed hidden under the mattress. Today, the dirty cops made off with $14,000. The senior of them ordered most of the loot to be given to Avery to deliberately dirty him. Sometime later, the young cop was assigned to the reward. He could have had a great career as a lawyer, but wanted to help people. Now he learned how rotten the system is from the inside. He saw it with his own eyes. His father, a Supreme Court judge, asked his son not to return to the police station and consider a political career. But the son didn't listen. Avery wanted to work in the Special Investigations Department, but the captain shoved him into the evidence storage. Scott now works with DeLuca. They need to plant drugs for a lady again, and Avery can help. It's enough to take a little cocaine from the evidence storage. Avery went to the storage, but not for the powder. He examined Luke's belongings and found their family photo. After that, the cop wanted to return all the stolen money to Romina, but she refused to take it back.
Listen.
Get the fuck
Listen
away.
to me. Listen.
You fucked up my son's life. Therefore, you fucked up my life. Get the fuck away from me.
Avery immediately went to the captain to tell him everything happening at the station, but the chief wasn't going to listen to someone snitching on his people. The captain immediately told DeLuca, the snitch, the very wolf in uniform. After that, Avery realized his life was now in danger. The dirty cop stopped him and ordered him to follow. They needed to discuss something. DeLuca drove into the forest, where it's easy to get rid of unwanted witnesses. Avery panicked, pulled out a gun, but then just turned around and left. He went to ask his father, the judge, for advice. His father advised him to turn in everyone, starting with the one who trusts him. After that, Avery met with Scott and recorded a conversation during which Scott again asked him to take the cocaine from the storage. Avery brought this recording to the district attorney, who interrogated him in the hospital. Avery agreed to hand over the recording only if the DA made him his deputy. The DA agreed, and Avery triggered a chain of arrests. Soon, all the familiar corrupt cops, including his close friends, ended up in prison. Avery once again became a hero. 15 years later, Avery buried his father and plans to run for the office of New York State Attorney General. The politician divorced his wife and hardly communicates with his son, AJ. For this reason, his son wanted to live with his father. The son became a troublemaker, and maybe this will help him get back on track, but the politician has no time to deal with him. He agreed and took his son with him. Avery needs to focus on the elections. That's why he transferred his son to another school. AJ doesn't know anyone there. In the cafeteria, he decides to sit next to a boy eating alone. They start talking. AJ suggests skipping a class and hanging out somewhere, smoking forbidden substances. But that's not enough for AJ. If only he could also get some pills. The new friend took $500 from the rich kid and bought pills from local dealers. The schoolboys were immediately accepted. After that, Avery went to the police station to settle everything. There he learned that the second boy's name is Jason Concom. This is the same boy, son of stuntman Luke, who once robbed banks. Avery attacked his son and demanded that he leave Jason alone so he wouldn't even approach him. Jason had to spend the night at the police station. Romina was also present at the trial. The boy faced a serious sentence from 5 to 15 years. But someone above took care of him, and the punishment was reduced to a monetary fine. At school, AJ quickly made new friends, and his father's words had the opposite effect. He became angry at Jason and decided to take it out on him. AJ also laughed at Jason's foster father. He was infuriated by these talks and demanded they leave him alone. That evening, the boy again asked Romina questions about his biological father. Coffee felt hurt, because he had raised the boy as his own all these years.
I'm your father. Been there since you were born. I always loved you.
Jason persuaded Coffee to tell him the name of his biological father. That way, the boy learned that his father had been a gangster and was shot after a bank robbery. Jason also learned that his father had worked in Robin's workshop, where he had gone the next day. The man almost cried upon realizing this boy was Luke's son. Robin showed him a newspaper photo of the father and the cop who shot him. He also told that Luke had been a great guy and a brilliant motorcyclist. At school, AJ bothered him again. He claimed Jason had wasted his money, but he would forgive the debt if the boy brought wheels to his party today. Jason decided not to deal with the dealers anymore and stole pills from a pharmacy. He arrived at the party and returned the debt. That night, Jason got very drunk. He caught the attention of a girl. At one point, she dragged him into the bedroom. Suddenly, on one of the portraits, Jason recognized his father's killer and realized it was AJ's father. He dropped the girl, found AJ, and attacked him. The rich kid kicked Jason out of the house, but that wasn't enough. AJ attacked Jason and beat him severely in front of everyone. The boy ended up in the hospital. The first thing he said to his mother when he woke up, "You're a liar," because Romina had hidden the truth about his father his entire life. When Jason was discharged, the woman went to the car for literally a minute, and when she returned, her son was gone. The boy bought a gun and returned to Avery's mansion. He pointed it at his enemy and forced him to lie on the floor. When the prosecutor returned home, his son was lying silently. Jason pointed the gun at Avery and forced him to go into the forest. It seemed he was destined to part with life among the trees. But Avery thinks only of his son. Jason refuses to reveal whether he is alive. The boy ordered the politician to give up his wallet and kneel.
What did you do to my son? Get on your fucking knees! Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Avery cried and sincerely apologized for what he did 15 years ago. Jason hesitated, lowered the gun, and ran away. In Avery's wallet, he found a family photograph. The politician had kept it all these years. The man reached home only in the evening and learned that AJ was alive. Despite the scandals involving his son, Avery Cross still won the election and became Attorney General. Most likely everything will be fine between him and AJ. Romina never saw her son again. He only sent her a letter with that photograph. Jason ran away. For $500, he bought an old bike and rode somewhere ahead. He became a wanderer on a motorcycle, just like his father Luke.